to multi-use housing for future development. The next one is Doug Horne at 12103 South Foxton. It says, we object to the ordinance 2020 that amends the text of the land use plan as relates to the mixed-use town center land use. This proposed change is arbitrary and it discriminates against Eddy and Linda Ford's 68-acre property. The Ford property was always listed as the perfect mixed-use town center property just west of the town hall. We are coming to the town with a fine mixed-use town center proposal with frontage outlots, medical office, and retail pod buildings, multifamily and attached condos. The current land use plan calls for multifamily up to 15 units per acre, and that's what our plan calls for. The Ford family has owned this property most of the 20th century and all of the 21st century, and for the town to change the rules arbitrary for mixed-use town center land use is completely unfair and ridiculous and appears to be targeted to deny the Ford property the land use that has been planned for years by the town itself. The town officials always wanted this property to be a mixed-use town center with multifamily, condos, medical, office, and retail structures. Of course, no matter the land use, we can propose zoning changes of the 68-acre Ford property, but it's much easier with the current land use plan that has been in effect for years. To limit the mixed-use town center development plan for high-density residential to property located only in the area bounded by South Campbell Station Road, Concord Road, and Kingston Pike is picking winners and losers and legally questionable and will subject the town to legal action. I'm forwarding this mixed-use town center plan we call Agora, which means a gathering place, named after historic Greek civilization. This is what we are submitting for Eddy and Linda Ford property. Please show this to the people in the BOMA meeting on October 22nd. Every development, including Concord Hills, Thornton Heights, and Glen Abbey, have folks that object to the adjacent development. We remember a few years ago when we built the Glen Abbey development, there were adjacent residents that objected to it. All growth and development have people that say NIMBY. Please keep this in mind. Again, this is a quality mixed-use town center development. We are proposing Agora. We do not believe it is wise or fair and equitable to make the text changed in Ordinance 2020. Our next one is Christina Meyer at 412 North Cedar Bluff Road. This is Mr. Horne's attorney. Says, as a follow-up to my client's comments, I would like to add some additional concerns that the town of Farragut needs to consider. As attorney for Doug Horne, a Farragut resident and real estate developer, I have been involved several times over the last couple of years in aiding his rezoning request to install multifamily residential development on his own property, where these were formal requests to the Farragut Planning Commission or informal inquiries made to the town's planning department. I've personally been in attendance at least twice to hear him and his representatives be told that the town center district reflected in the land use plan is the only place the town would allow the density Mr. Horne needs in order to make such a development financially feasible, despite the fact that neither Mr. or Mrs. Horne nor any of Mr. Horne's companies own any property in the town center area. I've been advised that the same refrain was relayed to him and his employees on several other occasions as well. As a result, Mr. Horne lost 2 separate contracts with apartment developers to purchase the property he owns with his wife. Finally, Mr. Horne took the town up on its promise, and he undertook the negotiation of a property belonging to Mr. and Mrs. Eddy Ford, which is in the heart of the Farragut Town Center District. He relayed this information to the mayor and others, so the town has been well aware of Mr. Horne's intention to bring mixed-use development plan for the town center zoning district in the commission for zoning approval, which plan would necessarily include multifamily housing. It also has every reason to expect the housing density within such a proposal will be equal to or greater than his previous petitions for zoning approval. I believe it strains credibility to assert that the Planning Commission's sudden desire to reduce density levels within the town center district, just as Mr. Horne is preparing to seek approval for high-density housing within the town center, is merely a coincidence. Rather, the announcement of the proposed changes to the land use plan smacks of an attempt by the Commission to sidestep a potential zoning challenge by Mr. Horne based on the Commission's manifest abuse of its zoning power when it turns down his proposal for rezoning consistent with the current land use plan. After all, if the plan is changed prior to his submission for housing density approval, then perhaps the Commission's hands are clean. Mr. Horne's plans for a multifamily project on Mr. and Mrs. Ford's property will most likely be resistant by some adjacent property owners over fears of increased traffic, diminution of property values of their home. However, as planning department staff and most or all of the Commission members are surely aware today, just as they were surely aware when the land use plan within the town center mixed-use concept was adopted, generalized and common fears of injury by neighbors wary of new development that do not confer standing on those neighbors to challenge rezoning that is based upon the land use plan. Accordingly, it is much more politically expedient to just change the plan before Mr. Horne's submission, despite the year-long mantra of the Commission and the Planning Department that the town needs multifamily housing to attract younger residents. The only place to have such housing is in the town center zoning district. Now that someone has finally found an economical, viable way to affect the town's desire, the Planning Commission has changed its mind. We hope the Commission, by extension the town, will reflect on all the potential implications of reducing the housing density within the town center district that is reflected in the land use plan. If it does, we believe the only conclusion that can be drawn is that the town center density requirement should not change, just as the long-desired concept of a mixed-use development that attracts a younger demographic could actually be realized. Thank you for your time and attention. The next one is Gerald Hammer at 1113